Run, Todd, run, Attorney General or Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche seems to be refusing now to sit for an under oath deposition about his mishandling of the Epstein file release. The cover up of a child sex trafficking ring continues. And certainly, if and when he gets cross-examined during his confirmation hearing, that's going to be top of mind of the lawmakers, among many other unethical and perhaps even worse breaches by Todd Blanche, who's been, frankly, Pam Bondi on steroids in terms of the depths of depravity and corruption in this DOJ. So speaking of Pam Bondi, I'm sure you know by now with our coverage, she testified. She went before the House Oversight Committee. She was subpoenaed to testify, except she wasn't under oath, refused to be in front of a video camera, and then objected to any questions that predate February of 2025. Any questions February 2025 or later, she wouldn't respond if it related to Donald Trump or anybody in the executive branch. Any questions about the search that was done regarding Trump's name in the Epstein files, she didn't recall, or she said Todd Blanche was responsible for it. Okay, so that's corrupt. That's inappropriate. When Democrats take over the House Oversight Committee, let's subpoena Bondi, bring Bondi in for a real under oath deposition. But okay, you want to play this game? Then let's subpoena Todd Blanche before the House Oversight Committee and ask him those questions. Now, I could predict what he'll say if he is subpoenaed. Oh, I'm not going to testify under oath. Instead, I'm going to do an informal hearing. I will not be on video camera, because why would I do video camera? Sure, Hillary Clinton, who's not even in the Epstein file, she must be under oath and in front of a camera, but I'm involved, the main person in the cover-up, but I won't do that. And you can't ask me any questions before 2024, 2025. Executive privilege, I'm not going to answer. And then I'll just say, I don't recall. And then I don't know, maybe I'll blame Kash Patel, and then he'll blame somebody else. And down we go to zero accountability as this cartel continues to cover it all up. And so you have James Comer. If you were running the House Oversight Committee like Comer, and he's probably only running it for a few more months, you would think, whoa, Bondi's behavior, despicable, but she's saying Blanche knew a lot about it. Okay, so let's bring in Blanche. Let's ask him about why it was that the survivors were treated so horribly and their PTSD was re-triggered. Why don't we call in Blanche to talk about his involvement in looking for Trump's name and the broader cover-up taking place and all that? Why don't we ask him this question? No, I don't want to do that. Here's what James Comer, who leads the House Oversight Committee, has to say. Let's play this clip.
Ranking Member Garcia said you put in a formal request to have Todd Blanche subpoenaed. Are you going to act on that subpoena? Will Todd Blanche become?
Todd Blanche came to speak to us for a briefing, and the Democrats got up and tiptoed out and ran to the press, clutching their pearls in outrage. What a wasted opportunity. We had Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi in there.
I mean, do you see that? And the way he kind of diverts right away and goes, that's just Garcia being Garcia. It's never enough for him. It's never enough. He always wants one more thing. And we've done the most extensive investigation yet. No, you haven't. You're quite literally involved in the cover-up. And then he always wants one more thing. That's the way investigations work, buddy. That's what your job is. Guess what? You find out something, and it leads you somewhere else. And then you pursue that lead, especially when someone says this person was involved in the cover-up. I don't think that's asking too much, or it's, you always want something. You're the House Oversight Committee. You should want something. Could you imagine if a prosecutor, during an investigation, finds out that the person said that the body was buried over there by the water. You want me to go by the water? I think you always want something. I'm not even gonna ask any further questions. This is the most. They already told me the body's buried, but why would I even go over there and look for it? Why would I do that? Let's bring in Harry Litman from Talking Feds YouTube, Talking Feds Substack, and Talking Feds podcast. Harry, great to see you as always. Here we are heading towards the middle of June, and the cover-up that began way, way back, but February 2025, when those influencers held up the binders that said Epstein files, to July 2025, we're no longer doing any investigations, to Trump, this is all one big hoax, to Bondi, the Dow's over 50,000, everybody, to all of that, to forcing Hillary Clinton to testify, to not having Lutnick or Bondi testify under oath or on video deposition, to now saying, we're not even going to ask Todd Blanche any questions. It doesn't get more corrupt. I mean, you're a former top federal prosecutor, Harry. This looks like to me, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I'll be clear. This is my opinion as protected by the First Amendment. If you handle RICO cases, the DOJ looks more like a racketeering enterprise that they used to prosecute than the prosecutors who prosecute the racketeering enterprise. Break it down for us, Harry.
Yeah, and that Todd Blanche used to prosecute and knows exactly what's going on. Ben, it was scandalous already that Pam Bondi, who was centrally involved, was able to go up there and not have to raise her right hand. It is the engine of uncovering of the truth to have people testify under penalty of perjury. And it's often the farthest, that force of people to either hedge or tell the truth or whatever. That's where you get the kind of nuggets that you then pursue, exactly as you are saying. Now, it was nevertheless a good development that Bondi made clear whose fingerprints are all over this, who did this completely themselves. Todd Blanche. And, he goes down to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell as the Deputy Attorney General for less than zero public purpose, only to try to serve the interests of his once and, as best we can tell, current client, Donald Trump. He is still playing the defense attorney, but there is so much more that they don't even dispute. The R word, redactions, where Bondi said, well, mistakes were made. They haven't even tried to comply, and it appears that that was his decision. How the hell can you take this act and says on each and every one where you do a redaction, we want to know what's the reason, what's the basis, we can look into it. And they basically, they have shown contempt for Congress up and down, as if they're some kind of junior varsity moot court society rather than a parallel government, one of the separation of powers, three branches. And they just really regard them with impunity. And Blanche, you would think, also is kind of skating through and thinking, what are you going to do about it? Refer me for contempt or what? Now, you've referred to the point that really is the big change here, which is he wants to be confirmed as Attorney General. And yes, Comer is not going to vote for him, and the Oversight Committee has nothing to do with it. But if he's going to be this pugilistic, lead with his chin asshole and say, I won't talk to you, etc., that's going to increase the pressure on the Republican senators for whom the very mention of Epstein is still a version of kryptonite. We actually saw this play out in miniature and in a really disgusting way with Emile Beauvais. He had to actually tell the truth once he got up there because he wanted to be a Third Circuit judge. And man, oh man, is there strong basis to think that he was not giving it straight and true. He said he didn't remember things that they have on tape and his doing. But now Blanche is the guy for Epstein. Beauvais and he were calling shots maybe together early on, but his fingerprints are on everything. And it's just, and he would know it, a complete non-starter to suggest that the number one person who knows the most, who's the person who has refused to see the victims as they come every time. He is the guy now, says Bondi, would somehow not have to answer questions under oath. And if the, R's go along with it, it's the same as saying this is just kabuki theater. We're not trying to get to the bottom. And that's just a sign of contempt not only to the House, but to the American people who are really, and have been for some time, very troubled by all this Epstein stuff and want to get to the bottom of it. And at the bottom, at least in the oversight and investigation, you find sitting one guy, and that's Todd Blanche. So it's an outrage to even suggest, oh, we don't have to talk to him and he needn't be under oath. But, that's their stock and trade, outrages of that sort.
Harry Litman runs the Talking Feds YouTube channel. Everybody make sure you subscribe. Search Talking Feds right now. Subscribe to Harry. Harry, thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben.
Everybody hit subscribe here. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.